Hi Brian, thank you for talking to us. My name is Arshdeep Singh and I'm with my friends Harsimran, Shubham and Jatin and Harpreet. And we are going to talk about an NPO like YMCA. We got a project from for our course, and we are going to talk about this NPO and ask more about YMCA from you. Like you are working for it, and can you tell me about yourself?
I've been with the Y for about 13 years or so.
Okay.
I'm working currently right now as an adult programs director.
Okay.
So it's just overlooking like group fitness classes, anything with the gym regarding sport, as well as personal training. I've been through different sectors, but mostly in the adult program sector as well too. Been at various locations, starting first at Mississauga. I've worked in Brampton like 10 years back, but returned recently, and I also worked down in Toronto at the West End YMCA.
Okay. How's your experience here?
It's been good. Been having a good time. I've been with the wife for 13 years, so something must be good in that regard.
Okay.
But that's a good, very family environment. And being now like a dad of 2 kids, it's an area and environment that I kind of want to keep intertwined with my family.
Okay. Can you tell us how YMCA Brampton started and why was it created?
So it was built sometime around like 1998. It was built in the same fashion, the reason for getting community opportunities for both health and wellness. So we have like our sports recreation, we have our aquatics, we have everything with your own personal leisure, like working with fitness equipment.
Okay.
And there's also a childcare sector attached to the center itself.
Okay. Good. How is YMCA Brampton connected to other YMCA organizations, both locally and around the world?
So we operate under the umbrella of the Greater Toronto Area, so the
Okay.
GTA. So all the health and fitness centers are pretty much in the same fashion when we provide the same services,
Okay.
as mentioned before. It's also linked with a few locations with either childcare or with CAMP. The umbrella of the YMCA in itself is pretty broad. It can include things with like the support services. There's an academy for school as well too. There's also the transition homes for either troubled youth or youth going through the transition process. There's even the resource center as well, whether that's somebody coming in to get the assistance with their resume or for job health, or even our newcomers program for anyone that needs assistance with intertwining the community. In Canada, it's pretty much under the same umbrella too. It's not too far off. But across the world, like in the United States, we'll have our health and wellness. The operations are slightly different, but I think in the fashion of giving to the community and providing at least all these different avenues to help both in wellness, career, and also in fitness, it's consistency across the board.
That's nice. What are the main services or programs YMCA Brampton offers to the community?
I mean, services and programs, it would be, if we're talking about health and fitness, our aquatics program, sports and recreational program, and to do with either personal fitness or group fitness. And those are kind of the key points there. And then outside is kind of like what I mentioned before with the other program services outside the umbrella of health and wellness.
Nice. How does YMCA Brampton find out what the community needs?
So we typically do like community surveys. We also play off of like community demands where could be more match the needs based on surveys, based on observations and requests as well too. So if you notice that there's a high demand for programming, we tend to offer a bit more of that, whether it be in the sports recreational field. It depends on each center, but I find like centers much like Brampton, Mississauga, and Scarborough are very family oriented. So we try to provide a lot more family oriented programming there, as opposed to maybe a place like Vaughan where there's more of a younger adult population. There's more of a focus tailoring towards young adult programs or even sports and recreation. They blend everything all in one, but there's still going to be this little tailored focus depending on whatever the community needs are.
Okay, nice. Can you explain how YMCA Brampton is organized and what is the work culture like?
Yeah. So most centers operate with your general manager, which is the main lead for the entire center itself.
Okay.
And then you have your sales director, your adult programs director, and your children's programs director, which also includes like the aquatic section of it, and then your facility manager. So a GM, and then the 4 underneath them have all the operational staffing for either logistics for programming or specific tiers, like if you have a group fitness supervisor, or maybe you have a supervisor for like the aquatics program itself. But that's the typical umbrella, and each center operates in that fashion with somebody else overlooking all the ring sites. The structure's changing a little bit, but overall, like, it keeps in that overall fashion. Culture-wise, pretty good, very flexible. I think that whole family vibe still transitions as being even a staff as well too. There's a lot of us that have been intertwined for quite some time, where they may have been a part of like wedding parties and whatnot. So there's a close knitted relationship between a lot of us amongst the staff.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you that how many volunteers are currently working?
At this site, it fluctuates within the year, but currently we're reporting on 40. All of them consist of either working in membership, working in maintenance, or fitness instructors.
Okay. So what type of opportunities when students are getting over here?
So if a student comes in for a placement, then we can either give them a placement working either at the membership desk, or if they're doing anything in health and wellness, they can do something that might be a little bit tailored towards teaching classes or supporting with the personal trainers, and things in that regard.
Are they getting paid, or like they're totally free, like just volunteering?
Yeah, volunteers, specifically only get volunteers. There are no paid placements within the YMCA, not in any capacity that I'm aware of, but I haven't heard it from before. There's also like different volunteer opportunities for either like special events. We do several events.
Like if
throughout the year.
anyone wanted to apply, they can apply through the site.
Everyone's welcome to apply over on the site. Our process that we do is that we go through the application, then we do an interview process, much like we would do for staff.
Okay.
And then we get the same sort of training, and also we do our reference checks and everything else. It's not too far off of what it would be for a staff, but the expectations of the work would be a little bit less demanding in a sense.
Can you tell us duties of the volunteers, about the duties of the volunteers?
Varies from department to department. I'll use like group fitness as a specific one. So a group fitness volunteer may start off as a greeter, where they're introducing people coming into a classroom, and then they work in development where they maybe teach like 25% of the class until they're able to complete a full class. There's a self-learning module that they would learn how to perform, and also the mentorship of working with the instructor. Once they're prepared and ready, and they've done an external course outside the center that we provide, that's no charge. They would then go through the basically evaluation period to be certified, and all this is included within their kind of experience, barring that they are going to be a consistent instructor teaching within the facility itself. So they wouldn't have to pay for their CPRA, they wouldn't have to pay for their certifications, but they are expected post to still be involved and teach the classes. And this ranges mostly for like our core classes, like for what we have for like our muscle fits or our cycle fit for like the spinning class, as well as we which their advanced based classes.
Does YMCA Brampton work with other groups or businesses?
There's some tie-in. We typically are limited because we have such a broad umbrella of services that we provide, but an example of some collaborations that we've done, there's like the Brampton Multicultural Center that we've taught a few classes there, more of just community outreach. We've supported within different schools, more of an outreach as well too. And if they want to kind of like use a portion of the gym, we've done some things on like a small like one-off capacity. There's a collaboration with Oklahoma that we currently have right now where they operate their intramurals. They typically lead the component themselves, but in terms of like the logistics of setup or having the equipment available, that's something that we set up on our end, as well as the time frame. There's small little donation stuff as well too, not so donations for monetary, but more so like donating during the winter time for like the needy for like warm clothing or anything that we're doing.
Nice. Great. Do they use any special goals or measures?
We have our metrics through what we need through our survey methods, as well as what we need to stay afloat for like the finances of what we balance for like a nonprofit. So we do use our general measures for like what would be membership on roll, overall gain, but registration as well. So just engagements and how we're performing in terms of the finances as well.
Okay, the main thing is now, what problems does YMCA Brampton face with funding and operating as a non-profit?
So as a nonprofit, we're not making like a super surplus. Every time that we would be a little bit more on the positive, we're always looking at what would be expansions and match as much as we can with community needs. So we use supports from either donations from either third party, like Cooper Crew for instance was a donation of 2 individuals that had donated in order to allow the center to be grown. It's an approach that we're doing a little bit more often now. Like we have the Stephen Stavro, as well as like I said, Cooper Crew, and the new one that's going to be opening up in Spadina. So we're always looking at like what would be community support for big donations towards that, as well as if there's anything like municipality-wise that they can donate. Recently with COVID, it's been a little bit more of a struggle with each of the centers. Fortunately for us, like in the GTA, we haven't had to close down any of these facilities. We did end up selling the property at Mississauga, which is all public knowledge that you can search online to see what the gain is from there. But we sold that in order to make sure that all the centers were able to operate, because we wanted to ensure that all the centers would still open, even at a less capacity. We would run more of a deficit and not have to let go of any of the staff during that time period. So
I have one more question. You guys like for funding, do you take support from like social media? Do you run ads for that? Like to raise fund from online?
Yes.
Is there anything?
So the most recent example probably would be the 5K run. So we had a 5K run across all the different sectors. So it wasn't just health and fitness, but also applied to like childcare, the supports and whatnot. There was a marketing outreach to showcase within that. I forget the exact location of where we ran, but it was a pretty good turnout. I believe that we raised about 100K for the event at least, on top of whatever else we would have got from other vendors. But like that's our main community outreach now for like our special events. We do staff campaigns, which is operating right now, where staff can either donate and support within the center itself. I myself, like I've always, since I can remember, always put like $4 every paycheck, which is like every 2 weeks. $4 comes in my paycheck, supports within the line, and then accumulates at the end of the year, tax rebate and everything else. But there's a lot of internal support, and there's the internal fundraising, which would be for the 5K, as well as outreach that we do for that.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, what do you think the future of the YMCA GTA will look like? Are there any new projects or plans?
Yeah, so we're looking at expanding, as I mentioned earlier, about the Spadina location. And the folks there, we don't know the status of what that's going to be, but as of right now, they're operating at their original site for the time being. Childcare centers are probably going to still continue to expand as much as we can, but there's been a lot done recently in terms of like more staff development of what they can do to allow for when these opportunities come in with new facilities to ensure that we're able to provide consistent quality for each one of those sites. And I don't really speak about health and fitness, because that's all I'm really aware of.
Okay, nice. Okay, thank you so much, Brian. Very nice meeting you.
Appreciate it.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.